This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Aja Goare. A classified memo alleging the FBI and Justice Department went too far in its surveillance of Trump campaign officials could be made public as soon as today. That surveillance was part of the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. CBS's Mo Lange has more.
The White House is wrapping up its review of a controversial memo containing classified information, and it could soon be made public.
It'll be released here pretty quick, I think, and the whole world can see it.
The memo, which was written by House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, alleges the FBI and Department of Justice abused surveillance of Trump campaign officials, especially the monitoring of Carter Page, a Trump campaign foreign advisor. FBI Director Christopher Wray personally pushed to stop the memo from being released, saying it contains inaccuracies, and he's concerned it paints a slanted narrative.
If the White House decides to release the Nunes memo, Director Wray is prepared to issue a rebuttal.
Congressman Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, now says Republicans fundamentally changed the memo's content before delivering it to the White House.
Schiff says the memo is not the same one the Intelligence Committee voted to release, and he says it should be recalled and re-voted on before it's made public. A spokesman for Nunes refuted the claim, saying the changes were minor edits, including grammatical fixes, and 2 changes requested by the FBI and the Democrats. Democrats say the changes watered down some of Nunes' previous assertions. Any question about whether the president will release the memo was answered Tuesday night.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Don't worry. 100%.
The White House is sending the memo back to House Republicans to let them determine when it'll be released. Mo Lange, CBS News, the White House.
Congressman Nunes responded to the FBI's objections, calling them spurious or fake. Here in Montana, a lame deer man now admits to a fatal assault on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation in September. 23-year-old Derek Shoulderblade pleaded guilty today in U.S. District Court in Billings to the lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter. Shoulderblade was originally charged with second-degree murder for the death of 30-year-old Ozzie Wilson. As part of a plea agreement, Shoulderblade admits he hit Wilson in the head with a trampoline pole. Wilson was hospitalized for the head injury and never regained consciousness. A sentencing date has yet to be set. A Billings man won't spend time in prison for causing a fatal crash while under the influence of marijuana. 21-year-old Kent Jensen was sentenced Wednesday to 25 years with the Montana Department of Corrections with 20 years suspended. In 2016, Jensen rolled through a stop sign, crashing into motorcyclist Joshua Fry at the intersection of Wise Lane and Frontage Road. Fry's family calls the sentencing an injustice and says it's the latest example of Montana judges slapping impaired drivers on the wrist. After the crash, Jensen submitted to a blood test, which revealed a level of THC intoxication 4 times the standard allowed in Montana. But officers noted Jensen did not appear impaired at the time. Jensen was also ordered by the judge to speak to students at every Billings middle school and high school about the dangers and consequences of driving while impaired. Great Falls police are investigating what they call a suspicious death. Officers were called to a residence on the 1800 block of 13th Avenue South Wednesday afternoon. No other details are being released at this time. Do check back on air and online for updates. A Hardin High School teacher is behind bars today after a gun was found inside a classroom. 42-year-old Nora Block was suspended from her teaching position and now faces several felony charges. A 17-year-old male student is also suspended. The school student resource officer received information Friday that a student at the high school had a gun inside the building. No weapon was found at that time. But when deputies responded Saturday, they located a Glock 27 handgun inside a classroom. Investigators believe Block actually found the gun Friday and then hid it under a student's desk before calling authorities the next day. An arrest warrant has been issued for the 17-year-old student, and that student has been suspended and will face an expulsion hearing. The Pend Oreille County Sheriff awaiting trial for allegedly assaulting his son, now facing a new round of legal trouble. Sheriff Carl Suta is charged with official misconduct, a misdemeanor. The state health department received a report that Suta provided a man with an investigative file and then set up forensic interviews with children in that case. Suta says the standard procedure is to contact the county attorney, but he did not do that. Suda ended the interview with a state investigator after the agent questioned Suda about the laws regarding dissemination of confidential criminal justice information. The investigation is ongoing. A $10,000 reward is being offered for information about a missing Browning woman. Ashley Loring, who also goes by Ashley Heavy Runner, was last seen in Browning in June. The Bureau of Indian Affairs is now offering a $5,000 reward for information into Ashley's disappearance. The Blackfeet Tribal Business Council is also offering a $5,000 reward. Anyone with information should contact law enforcement. State emergency managers now say they will appeal the federal government's decision to deny millions of dollars in fire aid. Leaders initially said they would not ask FEMA to reconsider its ruling that Montana's fire season does not meet the requirements for a major disaster declaration. The state will instead narrow its request and focus on 20 days in September when weather conditions were most severe and hundreds of new fires started. The updated request also drops to about $15 million versus the $44 million originally requested. We turn now to the weather scene with Ed McIntosh. We're not talking so much fires these days, but cold weather.
That's right. It's getting chillier, too, depending on where you are in the state. In fact, let's take a look around and see what's going on. Where you have some clouds around Missoula, it's also a little bit warmer, 29 degrees. And north of that area, we'll likely see some snow showers. Some sunshine breaking through in the capital city with 26 right now. Just a little bit of a west breeze into the mix. We're going to talk about how that will change here as we get in the course of the next few days. For Butte, sitting at 19. You can see some sunshine trying to break through some of the clouds. The snow cover that's already on the ground. The good news is the winds are calm. And in Billings, temperatures have started to recover after some light snow showers through the morning. We'll take a closer look at forecast details coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Ed. We'll check back in. The latest campaign fundraising numbers are in for Montana's U.S. Senate and U.S. House races this year. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison tells us who has the money and what those numbers mean.
The biggest race in Montana this year is the re-election battle for Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester, and he easily has the biggest campaign bank account. Tester reported Wednesday that he raised another $1.5 million for the 3 months ending in December. His total for the entire campaign has now topped $9 million, and he ended the year with $6.3 million in his campaign account. None of his potential Republican rivals is anywhere close to that. Big Sky businessman Troy Downing collected $857,000 through December, but 75% of that amount is his own money. State Auditor Matt Rosendale took in $760,000, and former State Judge Russell Fagg of Billings about $615,000. When it comes to cash in the bank, Tester has at least 10 times the money starting this year. We also have the latest figures on Montana's U.S. House race, where Republican Greg Gianforte is running for re-election to a second term. Gianforte had raised about $543,000 through December and ended the year with $345,000 in his campaign account. Two of the Democrats hoping to challenge Gianforte are raising serious money. Former Land Trust manager Grant Keir of Missoula took in $441,000 last year, and Billings attorney John Heenan reported Wednesday that his campaign took in $577,000, although $200,000 of that is a loan from his own pocket. But while Heenan and Keir are doing well in the fundraising game, they'll have to spend that money running against each other in their bid to win the Democratic primary on June 5th. 3 other Democrats also are in the House race. The candidate with the most campaign money doesn't always win, of course, but in crowded races like these, it gives us a pretty good idea of who the contenders are. Mike Dennison, MTN News, Helena.
Thank you, Mike. And the deadline for reporting 2017 fundraising totals was Wednesday. The next report won't be filed until April. Still to come on the new news, the latest violent attacks in the Middle East could be a result of anti-terror actions by the U.S. We'll explain. But first, Ed has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare. Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh and Farm and Ranch News.